G's Bend has always been poor, she began. There's not much land. There's not much here but farmland. We always needed mules to help us work the land. Not many of us could afford a car. How could you get anywhere? Alex asked. Well, that's just it. Benders, that's what we call ourselves here, use mules to haul most everything. Belle's been with us for many years now. She was here the day Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. came to speak to us, way back in 1965. I know about Dr. Martin Luther King from school. Did you meet him? Did you get to meet him? Asked Alex. Oh, yes, sir, I did. That night, there was a terrible storm. Lots of people thought he wouldn't make it to see us poor folks. I waited not far from here with Belle. It was past midnight when Dr. King finally arrived, but he still spoke to us that night and nearly took the roof off Pleasant Grove Baptist Church with his wonderful words. What did he say? Alex asked. Well, in those days, we had a ferry to cross the river into Camden, where there were jobs and stores. Dr. King told us to take the ferry to Camden and register to vote. Cross the river for freedom, he sang out that night. Even though we were poor dirt farmers, descendants of slaves with only mules to carry our loads, he said. I come over here to G's Bend to tell you, you are somebody. He told us we had a right to vote. You understand, Alex? Back then, no black person from Wilcox County had ever dared to vote. Were you scared? Alex asked. Miss Bettye sighed and thought for a moment. I don't think we were scared. Not after Dr. King spoke to us. We felt strong, like our mules, and we did just what he told us to do. So many went to register that we almost swamped the little ferry. Some benders went on to march with Dr. King in Selma, in Montgomery, in Birmingham. In the march on Washington. Benders are loyal like mules, too, Miss Bettye added, chuckling. We read about all those marches in school, Alex added. But we must have scared the white folks in Camden, because the next thing we knew, they shut down the ferry. The white sheriff was a big bully who wanted to keep us from our place. Keep us in our place. He told reporters, we didn't close the ferry because they were black. We closed it because they forgot they were black. Ha 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 ha. And that ain't happening here in Wilcox, in Camden. So when it came time to vote, we had no way to cross the river. But we wouldn't be stopped Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around, turn us around. Benders are like old Belle here, not fancy but strong and steady and stubborn. We filled our few cars with as many people as could fit. And then our old mules carried wagon loads of people round the river all day to vote. It took half a day to get there, but it was worth it. We sang and clapped all the way into town. Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around, turn us around. Folks in Camden sure was surprised. You showed them, Alex laughed. Is that why Belle's your hero? There's more to it. A lot of people here lost their jobs in Camden because they voted. Things got bad. With no jobs, we had no money for food. So some of us joined the Freedom Quilting Bee in Alberta, and eventually we started our own. Called ourselves the G's Bend Quilters. You see, the women of G's Bend had always made quilts. Some of the most beautiful quilts in the world were made right here. Soon they were being sold all over the United States. We became famous. That's why I'm here, my mother. That's why I'm here. My mother came here to shop for a quilt today, Alex explained. That's a happy ending, isn't it? But it's not the end of the story for Belle. Miss Bettye's voice turned softer. Alex, do you remember learning in your history books what happened on the 4th day of April in 1968? Can somebody tell me what happened on that day? Alex looked into Miss Bettye's eyes and saw how sad she looked. That's when Dr. King got shot, isn't it? He asked, and for the first time he felt the sadness himself. I feel it too. Yes, everyone in G's Bend was grieved. Miss Bettye took a deep breath and looked at the trees. A slight breeze seemed to shuffle the leaves. We got a phone call asking if our mules could pull Dr. King's coffin through the streets of Atlanta during the funeral parade. They wanted to use our mules, not fancy draft horses. Mules take their time, work hard, and they never back down. Mules aren't pretty, but they are somebody. It meant so much to us that Benders could honor the memory of Dr. King. Belle and another mule named Ada were loaded into a truck to begin their journey to Atlanta. But as usual, it wasn't going to be easy. State policemen stopped the truck and asked the drivers to show them a permit for hauling livestock across state lines. Can I have your permit? They threatened to arrest the drivers when they didn't have the papers. Told them they had to turn right. You gonna have to turn right. We got the word to Dr. King headquarters in Atlanta about what happened, and they called the state police and the governors of Alabama and Georgia. They told them it would look shameful on TV, in the news, all over the nation if they refused to let the mules pull the funeral train after the troopers escorted out. After that, the troopers escorted our Belle and Ada right into Atlanta. Look how making a phone call instead of getting all angry can change things. Belle pulled Dr. Martin Luther King's coffin, Alex. Belle pulled Dr. Martin Luther King's coffin. Alex asked. Yes, sir. Belle and Ada bravely pulled the wagon 3.5 miles through streets that were full of grieving, weeping people. Dr. Martin Luther King, how could they kill him? As they passed, people reached out and touched the mules in the casket. Imagine the thousands of arms and hands reaching out to them. But they kept moving, slow and steady. And they didn't back down or get scared, just kept going. The funeral was televised around the world. 60,000 people gathered around the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and tens of thousands more lined the streets. We were very proud, and that's why we love our last mule here at G's Band, and why I let Belle eat the collards she wants. Alex and Miss Bettye turned to look at old Belle, who stopped her munching and looked up at them. They both laughing. Yep, she's had her fill, Miss Bettye said, slowly rising off the bench. Want to go meet her? Yes, ma'am. Alex skipped down the steps and over to Belle, who let him scratch her fuzzy ears. Alex looked into the mule's eyes and thought about all the history she had seen. Thank you for telling me about Belle, Alex said. Now you know what Dr. King meant when he told us that even though we lead simple, hard lives, we are still somebody, she said. And even an old mule can be a hero, Alex added. Miss Bettye smiled. That's right, baby. And walked away, leading Belle behind her. That's the picture of the mules leading Dr. Martin Luther King's coffin. And I think he was told this story, Calvin Ramsey was probably told this story by a man by the name of, what is he? Oh, James Orange. So Reverend James Orange probably told him this story. I don't know for sure, but Reverend James Orange was Martin Luther King's bodyguard, and how he referred to people, he was a hey leader. So instead of hey N-word, y'all know the word, instead of, hey folk, or hey cat, or hey dog, he said hey leader. And that was the way that he referred to people. And a good story, a quick story, was that he was beat up by a lot of gang members because he was nonviolent. So they beat him up, and he still was nonviolent. So he didn't raise one hand to them, and he stood there. And that's a wonderful story. So they were nonviolent people. They took a lot, but there was a reason for them struggling and taking a lot. It was for your freedom. So always remember that, for your freedom. Hopefully you enjoyed the book, and thank you. For an Education Network. Peace, love, and I'm out.